this size of motorhome. Ah! More bits of camera that aren't attached anymore. Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and today I'm at the Caravan and Motorhome Club's Sandringham site in Norfolk with the Rimor Super Brig 95 Plus. Now, we've had a couple of Rimors on the channel before, an Evo and a Killig, both on Ford Transits and both very much entry-level motorhomes, very good value at today's prices. So what happens if you go to the top of the Rimor range? Still built in Italy, still part of the Trigano group, but this is Rimor's flagship, the Super Brig. You can have overcab Super Brigs, you can have these low-profile Super Brigs, all on Fiat Ducato. Layouts are quite predictable. You can have island beds, single beds, a transverse rear double, but there is also an overcab model, the Suite, with a rear lounge. But here we have the single bed layout in low profile form. And the interesting thing is that even though this is the company's flagship, it's priced at $74,995. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's 75 grand, but then everything else will be extra. There'll be this pack, that pack, and you'll end up paying 90 grand, 100 grand, whatever. But no, this van is $74,995 as you see it here. And M&C, the importers of Rimor in Hull, have even said that this price is being held until August this year, August 24, while stocks of these vehicles last. Just about the only option, factory option, that you'd perhaps consider is the automatic gearbox at £2,600. It comes as standard as a manual with the 140 horsepower engine. And M&C are currently even including a pack of accessories that includes a 120 watt solar panel on the roof, an alarm, and even a tracker. Now, I can't show you the solar panel or the TV aerial, which is also standard in that pack because they haven't been fitted yet. We grabbed this van for test at rather short notice when another vehicle fell through. And I'm very pleased that we got this for test because it does seem like quite an impressive vehicle so far. I'm not going to jump to conclusions because this is day one of a 3-day test, but let's go through some of the external features. So you've got that fixed double glazed overcab sunroof. The alloy wheels are standard too. And then down here in this small external locker, you have a 105 amp hour lithium battery that comes with a 7-year warranty. And they claim that it charges up to 4 times faster than a conventional gel or AGM battery. Now, this is also very much a full-sized motorhome. It's 7.37 metres long, 2.34 metres wide, and quite tall, 2.9 metres high. Now, part of the reason for that height is it's not on one of these low-line chassis. It's on a standard Fiat chassis, which does make the vehicle quite tall for a low-profile motorhome. But you've got these nice roof rails that merge the overcab into the rest of the bodywork, and they, of course, are standard too. You also get the upmarket framed habitation windows and then water tanks. The freshwater tank is inboard under the dinette, and that is 85 litres. Waste tank is underslung, and that's 100 litres. Unusually, there's a bit of extra external storage in here. Could be useful for levelling wedges, toilet chemical, that sort of thing. Your wastewater drain is a simple T-handle. And down here, you've even got rear corner steadies. Looking down the offside, like most Continental imported motorhomes, of course, the habitation door is on the Continental or our offside. It's not linked to the central locking. The remote central locking just does the alarm and the cab doors, but the door doesn't need any external step. You've just got two simple internal steps, and then you go into a flat floor throughout the living area. Fly screen on the door too. So it's worth pointing out, you've got this nice sturdy handle to shut the door when you go inside. You've got this little zipped storage pocket on the door. Not sure quite what you'd keep in there, but perhaps a folding brolly or something. And the door is opened on a gas strut. And then forward of the habitation door, you've got your gas locker, nice and low down, so you're not lifting bottles up really high. And Rimor says it'll take an 11 and a 13 kilo cylinder, so good size gas locker as well. Toilet servicing hatch, of course, and the alloy wheels we've already mentioned. So the star feature of the outside, of course, is the garage. So, the garage. Well, you've got this full width LED strip light. You've got an outlet from the combi boiler, so it's heated in here. Fixed tie down hooks, one in each corner. Little shelved area for perhaps your hose and I don't know, other bits and bobs in there. You've got the fix and go kit in there as well, rather than the spare wheel, worth noting that. And then back in this corner, you've got convenient servicing access for that combi boiler. Dimensions of the garage, well, my trusty tape measure tells me it's 1.15 metres wide and a generous 1.27 metres high. Now that boiler is a Combi 6, so the more powerful Combi, but it is gas only as standard. If you want to upgrade to the gas and 230 volt electric one, that's a £495 option. Should also mention that this van is as standard a 3.5 tonne vehicle, so you can drive it on a standard car licence, but that does only give you a payload of 368 kilos. So if you want to make maximum use of this garage and all four birds, you may need to consider an upgrade. Of course, you've got the reversing camera, again, standard equipment. Another thing I should mention is that this year M&C are giving a 12-month go anywhere warranty. Now there are certain terms and conditions, of course, but basically you can take it to any caravan and motorhome dealer to get warranty work done rather than have to drive back to Hull, which seems like a great little feature. Other than that, well, it's quite neatly styled at the back. Bit of flourish with these chrome rings around the lights. The only thing on the outside I think to criticise really is that these skirts are plastic rather than more durable aluminium. So I think that's enough filming for one day. Looks like it's going to rain. I'm going to go inside, have some tea, hopefully have a good night's sleep, and I'll tell you all about living in it tomorrow. Now, 24 hours on from the first part of this video shoot, and I've got a much clearer idea of what I think of this Rimor Super Brig. I really like this dark woodwork. There's not too much of it, so it's not oppressive. You've got nice light coloured doors and this sort of marble finish for the tabletop, so there's not too much dark wood, but I do think it does give the van a sort of classy feel. I'm not, on the other hand, so keen on this material on the cab seats. It's a sort of leatherette, and they're not fully retrimmed seats. These are effectively just loose covers over the original Fiat upholstery, and you can see it's not the best of fit and finish, although at least they do cover the armrests, which not all manufacturers do. And then you've got a different upholstery in the lounge with this sort of almost sort of suede-y type feel. And again, this very pale part of the fabric. I'm not sure how durable that's going to be. It looks to me as if it might show quite a few marks. And on the plus side, again, you've got plenty of light. You've got that big overcab sunroof. And although there's no window behind this single inward-facing seat, you've got the window in the door and, of course, the dinette window over on the other side. What's really impressive, though, is the artificial lighting from these sort of fancy lights around the end of the kitchen unit and in the doorway. It's all backlit. You've got plenty of general lighting. There's ceiling light in the drop-down bed, strip lights under the top lockers. It really is very generous. Even these little pin lights at night so you don't trip up. But then there are no steps in the floor. It's a flat floor right the way through from the cab to the back bedroom. And that's quite unusual. It's a corollary of that higher chassis, and that's the benefit, that you get this flat floor throughout. Another thing that's quite unusual these days is to still have this more sort of half dinette type seating area. So many vans have gone over to the parallel sofas that then have to fold up if you want to make travel seats. If you're regularly carrying passengers, this is probably a better bet because you're not constantly unfolding seats and moving cushions. But it's perhaps not so good for sort of relaxing. We'll come on to that again a bit in a minute. The table is a nice size when it's folded, good for snacks and coffees and that sort of thing, and then it unfolds to be a proper family-sized dining space. And considering it's one leg, it's really very stable. It hasn't got that sort of horrible wobbly feeling that you think you're going to get soup in your lap that some have. And it does move with a single handle. You can slide it, twist it, put it wherever you want, really. So that's the table. Now, I do find this table just a tad high for dining. Now, that's a personal thing, perhaps, and maybe one to try for yourself. And then back to the seats. Well, this seat I find quite comfortable, though it's fairly short in the squab. Having this lumbar support cushion does make it a comfortable place to sit. If you want to change from sitting in the cab seats, yeah, I quite like sitting here. And then again, on the other side, perhaps to tuck yourself into that back corner. And again, you've got that lumbar cushion. This corner seat is quite a nice place to tuck yourself back into and put your feet up. Above, you've got double USB and a 3-pin main socket. And one of the things that's included in the M&C pack is a number of extra main sockets throughout the vehicle, and you can even choose where some of those go. There's no shortage of sockets in this van. Makes quite a practical rear travel seat, of course the 3-point belts, and surely it's only the Italians that would bother to colour coordinate the seat belts. And as I said, you've got this lumbar support cushion, so you should be comfortable on longer journeys. Storage in the lounge, well, you've got these 2 top lockers suspended from the drop-down bed above. They're a decent size, but I do find these plastic handles, although they positively lock, they just feel a little bit cheap, which is a shame because generally the furniture all does feel very solid and very good quality. Around the overcab, you've got a little bit of storage there, and because the lips are nice and deep, although they're open shelves, they are relatively useful. Under the benches, well, this one is mostly full of gas locker. There's a little bit of storage under there, but the main bench, forward-facing bench, is full of the freshwater tank. Storage is pretty impressive in the kitchen. You've got a large top locker with these nice sprung hinges. But the important bit is under the counter. You have this double layer super-sized drawer, so top one for your cutlery and utensils, and then below plates, cups, whatever. But it doesn't end there because you've got another even larger soft closing drawer underneath that. Look at the shape of it, how it curves away. So if you're standing close to the counter, your feet aren't kicking the cupboards. You've got this large sink too with a nice big outlet, so that shouldn't get blocked up. 3-burner hob, and then details like, of course, your kitchen roll holder, these 2 downlights, and an extractor hood. You've got a main socket up there too, and another one down towards the floor. Over on this side, I nearly forgot to mention the posh pull-out hose-style tap. Look at that. And then over on the other side, of course, you've got your tall fridge freezer. It's one with a separate freezer compartment, and the doors open from either side. This side, more convenient when you're cooking. This side, more convenient when you're in the lounge and you've forgotten something. And above that is an oven and grill. And for once, well, for me at least, it's okay. Although it is above the fridge freezer, because the fridge freezer is practically at floor level, it's not one of these that you need to be like a giraffe to see if your dinner's burning. So I cooked myself cauliflower cheese and a bit of fish pie in there last night. No trouble at all. Nothing burnt for once. Just to prove we test vans in all weathers. Beyond the kitchen, as you'd expect in a 7.5 metre van of this class, you've got the toilet on one side and the shower on the other. Now, the toilet door, with this porthole sort of glazing frosted window, picks up on the name Super Brig, because a brig is a sailing vessel with 2 square rigged masts. But you didn't know that. And then, well, the toilet door doesn't close off the back of the van as you might have expected, but you do get privacy via this sliding door. What you can't do, unfortunately, is close off the ablutions facilities from the bedroom. However, this shower is one of the star features of this Super Brig. It's a really good size, and then the shower head lifts off its travel position and clips to this magnetic rail at whatever height you want. And look at the size of that shower head. It really does give you, well, a feeling of being at home, a really good spread of water as it hoses you down. No nasty shower curtain either. You've got this tinted bifold door. A little recess for your shampoo and conditioner. It's really, really good, this shower. And the only downside is that you've got just one small outlet in the tray. So as I'm parked slightly on a slope, water is collecting towards the front of the tray. But I'll live with that because this is a great shower. Over on the other side, well, I'm slightly mystified by the clear window, but at least it has a blind. Everything else is here that you'd expect. So you've got this salad bowl style wash basin, which you probably need to be sitting on the loo if you really want to get your head over it, but there's decent amount of room in here. It's not the biggest washroom or toilet room, but it is, well, depends on your size, but plenty of shoulder room for me and just about enough knee room on the loo. Less room when you're standing perhaps, but still just about okay. Toilet roll holder hidden in the cupboard, towel rail and towel hooks behind me, soap dish, and then behind this large mirror is a decent amount of storage. The final part of the layout, of course, is the twin beds at the rear. You've got 2 steps, both with pin lights to illuminate them, but then the final step up actually onto the mattress is quite a substantial one if you haven't got long legs. The beds themselves are a really good size, 2.08 metres long on the offside, 1.93 on the near side. So that's 6'10" and 6'4", and they're both 82 centimetres wide, or 2'8". Now, you've also got reading lights, these padded headboards and the centre mirror, built-in USBs in these reading lights, and a power point, 230-volt power point just down there. Shelves, cupboards, but of course those cupboards do stop you sitting up in bed, and you haven't got any of those nice ratchet systems to tip the head of the bed, which would have just been the icing on the cake in this otherwise excellent bedroom. You've got opening windows on either side and of course the roof light above. And if you want to extend this centre section, you can do. Then you just slide this cushion back because that's on a solid base. Little infill goes in there. And that extends the centre section of the bed from 1.16 metres long to the mirror to 1.4 metres. You could, I suppose, then sleep across the vehicle in a double bed if you preferred. Or maybe a small child could sleep in the middle. In this format, there's also a ladder to ease access because your steps are now slightly covered. Storage, well, underbed storage, you've got your boiler in here as well as a large shelved cupboard. Ideal for clothes that you want to keep toasty warm. And then on this side, you've got a wardrobe that's also accessible from above. The whole bed base lifts on gas struts. But of course, these single beds aren't your only sleeping option. If you take anybody else with you, grandchildren perhaps, well, you've got this drop-down double bed. Just turn a key and press a button, and down it comes. You need the ladder for access, and up here, the bed measures 1.93 metres long by 1.15 metres wide, 6'4" by 3'9½". You've got a roof vent close by, reading lights individually switched above, and a reasonable amount of headroom. You've also got daylight if you want it from the overcab sunroof, and storage, of course, that you can reach there as well. The bed does come down over the doorway, so you will have to stoop to get in and out of the van, but it's not impossible. And you can even just about sit in one position underneath the bed, and of course the cab seats are still usable, although again you need to stoop to get to them. There's plenty of room too to leave your duvet and pillows on top of the bed when it's stowed, and that isn't always the case with electric drop-down beds, so do try for size. So, day 3 of this road test, and time to show you what the Super Brig is like on the road. So this Rimor, well, the Fiat Ducato cab part of it, comes with the essentials. So you've got cruise control, cab air conditioning, ASR, you've got electric heated mirrors, but you don't get some of the modern toys and gizmos, no hill holder, no electric parking brake, that sort of thing. Do you need them? Well, probably not. Power unit is the 140 horsepower turbo diesel engine, which I have to say gets this van along at a surprising rate of knots. I've been very pleasantly surprised. But I am travelling lightly laden because it is just me. You can have the automatic gearbox, that's a £2,600 option. But this manual in the current Series 9 Ducatos is a lot slicker than in earlier generations of these Fiat commercials. What else don't you get? Well, at night, of course, you don't get cab blinds around here. You've just got silver screens. The steering wheel is perhaps the most noticeable thing because it's just a plastic rim, which, well, isn't nearly as nice to hold as a leather one. You've got controls, cruise control on here, but not for the radio. And some folk said to me in one of the comments on a recent YouTube video, well, the radio controls are underneath the steering wheel. No, not here, they're not. What else can I tell you? Well, this Pioneer 9-inch screen, that does your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And, well, it's not one of these massive iPad-style screens, 7 inches from diagonal to diagonal. But it's adequate, and it does your reversing camera as well. Rattles? Wow, commendably few, I think. Yeah, there are one or two, but hey, this is a well-priced coach-built motorhome, so in many ways, I'm surprised there aren't a lot more. And then the chassis. Well, as I said earlier, this is the taller Ducato chassis. It's not one of these low-line chassis or an Alco chassis. It's just a standard height Fiat Ducato chassis. That does mean that the whole van's a bit taller, that it sits a bit higher, that the centre of gravity is a bit higher. Does it matter? Probably depends how quickly you drive it. Certainly going round some of the roundabouts, I noticed that there was quite a bit more lean. I haven't had any severe crosswinds or even any real winds at all to contend with, so I can't comment on what it's like then, but it's not going to be as rock solid on the road as some of the lower low profile motorhomes, but really it drives pretty well for a van of this size and price. Just a couple of bits to add on the driving aspects. First of all, fuel consumption. I've been getting about 28.5 to the gallon. It's dropped now to just over 27 with all the manoeuvring and filming shots, but yeah, best part of 30 to the gallon should be achievable as long as you're not hoofing it down the motorway. Another thing you'll notice is that you get the central storage bin in the dashboard rather than the cup holders that we're used to seeing now on most Ducatos. And then, right, final verdict time on this Rimor Super Brig 95 Plus. Well, it is a lot of van for the money. I know 75 grand seems like a lot of money, but for a brand new motorhome that's fully spec'd, unfortunately, in 2024, you could pay a lot more. This is a flagship motorhome for Rimor that's competing with some other brands' entry-level vehicles. So, what would you want to add? What do you miss out on? Cab blinds, probably live without those. The electric element for the combi boiler for the water heating and heating, yes, I would add that, but it's only 500 quid to add it, so that's a bit of a no-brainer. Everything else, well, you've got pretty much everything. Yeah, I'd like a better upholstery. Yeah, there are always things you can criticise in a motorhome, but this is certainly a real star when it comes to value for money. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this latest motorhome review. Plenty more motorhomes and campervans coming along soon.